In this video, we'll be doing a comparison against your standard gimbal, the DJI Osmo Mobile 2, against a less known brand, the Moza Mini-Me. Check this out, full 360. This one does not. To see which one of these truly does deserve your wallet, let's get to it. So if you couldn't tell already in some of my past videos, I freaking love using gimbals. They make an excellent tool for filmmaking and makes it super easy on capturing B-roll shots by making them look super smooth and cinematic. And the DJI Mobile 2 that you see here has been my daily ever since. And for good reasons too. When you think of a cell phone gimbal, first thing that possibly comes to mind is DJI, since they were the first one that basically revolutionized the cell phone gimbal industry. But this Moza Mini-Me might take that throne, as it has a couple of hardware features that we have yet seen on any cell phone gimbal in the past. This thing can actually wirelessly charge your phone. Unlike past gimbals, most of the time when you need to charge your phone while recording, especially shooting time lapse for a long period of time at a high resolution, your phone battery will drain rapidly. But this thing solves that. By pressing the power button twice, that activates the wireless key charging, so if your phone has it, you could charge your phone wirelessly, cable free, without needing to film in portrait mode or fill up that gap to have the awkward cable connected from the gimbal. And if you look closely, there's actually 4 mounting points on this gimbal than the DJI Osmo Mobile 2 has, just one on the bottom. You're able to actually plug in, or mount I should say, external microphones, lights, anything you could fit through these camera adapter threads will work. So you can literally get creative and create whatever useless monstrosity you want to make. Now the MSRP for the Moza Mini-Me is just $109. And the DJI, the most affordable gimbal that they produced, is $130. And they share very similar specs. Both connect via Bluetooth 4.0 and they both have a large capacity battery. The DJI has a 2600 mAh battery, while the Moza Mini-Me has a 2100 mAh battery. The DJI is able to reach up to 15 hours of battery life, while Moza has claimed this thing is able to achieve up to 10 hours of battery life. And for my experiment, after my camera died, it definitely achieved 8 hours. So it seems about right. So with all that being said, by now you probably assume that the Moza is actually a better value gimbal. Yes and no, it's not perfect. There's a bunch of issues that we'll address in a little bit. But right now, let's go ahead and start off with the goods. The packaging of the Moza Mini-Me came in a very similar package style like the DJI Osmo did, but comes included with a bunch of extra goodies. The traveling case that comes included is a nicely premium feeling carbon fiber look traveling case. When open, it's nicely padded that also fits other accessories you want to put in with it. And I feel confident that this padding is tough enough that will fully secure whatever accessory you're tagging along with it. Unlike DJI just throws in this hard foam traveling case that's only able to hold the cable to charge the gimbal and the gimbal itself. So if you wish to travel with a mini tripod, you're going to have to either cut out an outline or put it in a separate bag. Now the Moza Mini 2, on the other hand, actually does throw in a free mini tripod. And on past video of mine, I actually complained about DJI not throwing in one of these mini tripods, because for a gimbal like this, having one of these is crucial. Because it's not worth risking balancing your device on a flat surface to then finding out the wind knocked down your phone and it's on the floor cracked. So both of these gimbals charge via a micro USB port located on the bottom or on the side on the Osmo, and they both have a USB port out that allows you to pretty much use this gimbal, both of these gimbals, as a power bank if you ever need to. So if your phone doesn't support wireless key charging, you can still charge it with a USB port. Now let's go ahead and highlight the balancing procedure. This is where the Moza Mini-Me gets it right. Huge improvement compared to the DJI Osmo Mobile 2. A big thing that I dislike about the Osmo Mobile 2 is that the balancing procedure is a complete pain, as they're located in this narrow gap that makes it almost impossible to always get the right balance. While the Mini-Me actually has them appropriately sized, and if you see, it's outside the handle, not inside, so you don't have this narrow gap to tighten it right. And just like the DJI is capable of adapting to portrait mode on the fly, the Moza Mini-Me can also do this. In fact, in my personal opinion, I think the Mini-Me actually has a far more range of motion in its y-axis than the Osmo Mobile 2 did. And of course, before somebody asks, yes, both of these gimbals do support pretty much all the latest current cell phones as well as future production phones. And I know some of you guys want to also know this. Can I place a GoPro on them? Well, the DJI, you can actually do this, don't recommend it, but the camera will be constantly facing in front of the controller layout. While if you do this on the Moza Mini-Me, it shakes violently. The camera is just too light for the Moza to really utilize this without using an adapter. Which personally probably would have been awesome because the Moza actually has a full 360 rotation. So instead of having a camera constantly facing towards you, you could have actually gone away with this. Now of course, both of these gimbals have their own companion app. The Moza layout is really clean and really user friendly and does an excellent job on tracking. Asterisk, I'll explain more. Thanks to the 360 rotation that's able to achieve, makes tracking subjects really incredible without having the limitation from something like the DJI. Huge disadvantage that the DJI has, it doesn't do full 360. And when you get back, it just loses track of you. Or actually, it got back. I'm surprised. Sometimes it doesn't. I guess it's a 50-50. But look, no 360 in just a moment later. 360, there you go. So it's like, I don't know, 320. But the Moza, software-wise, can use a lot of improvements. The tracking ability, I notice, it has a real hard time keeping larger subjects in the center. This could be fixed during software, possibly sometime in the future. But usually when my subjects just gets out of the shot, this thing just screams in panic and it's really hard to make it recenter. I literally just have to turn it off from this point and just reboot it. And usually when this happens on the DJI, you just simply hit the recenter button and it'll put itself back in place, disabling the lock feature. This thing doesn't do that, so it lacks that feature that definitely needs it. But both of these apps do have their own limitations. For instance, although each of them can do time-lapse, slow-mo, videos, light painting, live stream, and regular photo taking, the DJI Go app actually has a few extra goodies. For example, one, the DJI photo apps actually has panoramic shots that allows you to do full 360 photos that come out looking sharp. But on the DJI Go app, it's locked at a resolution of 4K at 30 FPS. While the Moza app will support on whatever resolution your phone is capable of doing. But unfortunately, this application is not fully optimized to work on every single phone, as I had a hard time to get the active time-lapse to work. And it's possibly this is due to the fact that my phone is running a beta version of an iOS that's not released yet. Which honestly, this is expected, especially since DJI is a larger company. Of course, they have larger staff of software engineers that allows them to constantly be updated on the latest software. But when it comes to shooting normal time-lapse, this thing will get the job done. So here's some side-by-side footage. So right here is the Moza app of just me walking, for you guys to get an idea on how stable this gimbal really is. And now on the right side is the DJI Osmo Mobile 2 with its companion app, and to be honest, the DJI in my opinion looks smoother. And now this is footage using the DJI gimbal while using the iOS official camera app on our phone. And now on the right side is the Moza Mini-Me recording using the iOS camera app. Now on this shot it looks really close, almost identical in some ways. But now during fast-paced movement, I noticed that the DJI Osmo has a harder time maintaining the payload of my phone because if you notice, each time I'm violently moving, the weight just pushes the gimbal to face the camera down. And this is with the gimbal on sport mode. And running the same test, no pun intended, on the Mini-Me, we see a complete different result. The Mini-Me actually handles a heavier payload while moving at a high speed very well, Although the focus is really off, if you noticed, I don't know if this is something to do with my phone, but it's always constantly out of focus and refocusing itself. But once again, I think Moza could probably fix this in a future update to make it more compatible with the iPhone 10 on iOS 12. But this camera clearly has no issues maintaining the position of the phone, and this is with the gimbal moving at a forward angle too. The gimbal is not being held straight up, so the gimbal does have a lot of motion to move around with. And continuing using the default camera app, the DJI looks a bit more smoother. Let me know which one you guys prefer. But to be quite honest, most of the time when I'm just using the gimbal, by default I'm always using the default camera app on my smartphone. It's more convenient to launch than it is to launching the companion app. So unless you plan on using motion tracking, creating hyper time lapse, using the default camera app on these gimbals is my personal choice, since it gives us more freedom to create certain things, because you can still make a time lapse. For example, just record a 5-minute clip and speed it up until you're satisfied. If interested, I actually made a full dedicated video about that. You can click the little icon right there to go ahead and check that out. But while doing this, one thing that has to be talked about is that the DJI Osmo, whenever you're using the default camera app, you can still use the shutter button to record or take a photo. The Moza doesn't do this. You're gonna have to press on the screen to record or take your photos. Not a huge deal breaker, but just something to keep in mind. And covering more about the control layout for both of these gimbals, I personally prefer the control layout on the DJI Osmo. For example, I personally prefer the slider that DJI has integrated on the DJI Mobile 2. This makes a smoother zoom in and zoom out transition. And the issue that I have with Moza is that it uses a scroll wheel design that has little locking gears each point. So whenever you're using the zoom, it doesn't look as smooth. Another thing that has to be mentioned about the control layout on the Mini-Me is that the joystick itself doesn't have a grippy texture like the DJI. Which means when shooting outside, like in this situation, it was difficult for me to get smooth positioning transitions, as my fingertips literally had no grip. But one thing for sure, the Moza definitely has a better handle compared to the DJI. The DJI, roughly around 10 minutes or so, my hand just starts becoming uncomfortable. This one I could definitely hold for a lot longer. So overall, yeah, I'm just taking a break right now. Grab some coffee. But overall, this thing is actually really impressive. If I was in the market for picking up a gimbal, I would definitely put this one in my list. Although the software isn't there compared to DJI, of course, they have a bunch of engineers constantly upgrading and developing, improving their software. This is basically a smaller company, so expect it not to have all those features just yet. But the functionality, since this thing could wirelessly charge your phone, that's a huge selling point for me, and especially the 360 rotation, that's an added bonus. So for a vlogger or somebody who's just looking for basic functionality for a gimbal, this is definitely a good choice. So there you guys have it. That's gonna be it for this video. If you like this kind of content, like what I'm doing, don't forget to like this video as well as subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.